Hello, story lovers. Welcome to Storytime with Effie. Long ago, in a small African village, there lived a girl named Adia. She was kind, curious, and loved to play with her friends. But there was one problem: her mother never let her go anywhere. Whenever her mother had to leave the house, she would put a large stone on a pot of boiling water and say, Adia, watch this stone until it becomes soft. Do not leave it. Adia would sit by the fire all day, waiting and waiting, but the stone never softened. One day, her best friend Zina came to visit. Come play with us in the forest, Zina begged. I can't, I have to watch the stone, Adia sighed. Zina thought for a moment and then whispered, I know a trick. Drop a nail in the pot. My mom says nails soften everything. Adia hesitated but finally dropped a small nail into the pot. Then the two girls ran off to play in the cool green forest. As they ran and laughed, Adia saw a shiny white stone in the middle of the forest. It was so smooth, beautiful, and she decided to sit on it to rest. But as soon as she sat down, she couldn't get up. Zina, help me! Adia cried, struggling to move. Zina pulled and pulled, but Adia was stuck. The stone held her tight as if it had grown into her skin. The girls screamed for help, and soon the villagers arrived. The elders whispered amongst themselves, This is a magic stone. It does not let go once it's chosen someone. But back home, Adia's mother arrived. Adia, Adia, my baby, I'm back home. But the house was eerily quiet. That's strange. Adia would have run out to welcome me by now. So Adia's mother walked to the kitchen, and there she sees the nail in the water. She knew exactly what had happened. Adia had snuck out of the house. She frantically starts looking, and just then, a villager comes to the house and informs her of what had happened to Adia. She frantically runs towards where her child is, and when she gets there, she tried to pull Adia up, but she couldn't get up. And then she was told that Adia could not be released from the stone. She wept deeply, holding Adia in her hand as they both sobbed bitterly. Since Adia couldn't be freed, the villagers had no choice but to build a house around her. From that day on, people would come to the house to ask Adia for advice. It was said that the stone gave her wisdom beyond her years. The hut was dimly lit, the only sound coming from the rain tapping against the window. Adia's mom sat in the corner of the hut, arms crossed, her face tense with frustration and regret. Mother stepped forward and sat beside her daughter. Adia, she said softly, her voice thick with emotion, I owe you an apology. Adia did not respond immediately. She kept staring at her hand, tracing the pattern with her fingers, waiting. I thought I was protecting you, Mama continued. I thought if I controlled where you went, who you talked to, what choices you made, you would feel safe, that the world would not hurt you, she sighed, shaking her head. But I see now that I wasn't protecting you. I was keeping you from learning how to protect yourself. Adia looked up, her expression softened. Mama reached for her daughter's hand, but hesitated. I should have guided you, not caged you. I should have trusted you to make mistakes and learn from them, instead of trying to prevent every fall. She blinked back her tears. I was afraid, Adia. Afraid of the world. Afraid of failing you as your mother. But in trying to keep you close, I pushed you away. Adia let out a shaky breath. She had waited years to hear these words, to feel seen, to feel understood. Slowly, she placed her hand over her mother's. I just wanted to be heard, Mama, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother nodded, and I am ready to listen now. Not your guard, but your mother. Adia squeezed her mother's hand, and in that quiet moment, years of tension began to melt. The rain outside softened, as if the storm had passed, both inside and out. And so, Adia, the girl who once longed for adventure, became a legend, a girl whose home was built around a magic stone. Days turned into weeks, and Adia remained trapped on the magic stone. Though the villagers admired her wisdom, she longed for freedom. She missed running through the fields, feeling the wind in her hair, and most of all, she missed her mother. One evening, an old traveler arrived in the village. She had heard of Adia and her magic stone and came to see her. When she stepped into her house, she studied the stone carefully and smiled. This stone does not trap, it tests, she said. It binds those who are not yet ready to leave, but it will release them when they understand what they truly seek. Adia thought about her words. She had wanted freedom, but now she realized freedom wasn't just about running away. It was about responsibility, about understanding when to stay and when to go. With this realization, the stone beneath her began to warm. A golden light shimmered around it, and suddenly Adia felt a great weight lift. She gasped and stood up. I'm free at last! Eyes wide with surprise. The villagers cheered, and Zina ran to hug her. Adia wasted no time. She ran back home, her heart pounding. When she reached her house, her mother stood in the doorway. Mother! Adia cried, throwing her arms around her. Her mother held her close, tears glistening in her eyes. You have learned a great lesson, my child. And she said softly, from that day on, Adia was no longer bound by her stone or her mother's rules. She was free, but also knew the value of responsibility. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends.